Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. I say it to many of my friends and neighbors.
Welcome back to the Muslim Street here with Malik Aziz and, of course, the international superstar Layla Abdelaziz as we bring you the latest and greatest Muslim current events. This segment, we want to bring on, I guess, El Hajj Mauri Salakhan, who is the director of the Peace Through Justice Foundation, who is bringing to the national stage the case of Dr. Afia Siddiqui. Dr. Siddiqui, a Pakistani citizen who was educated and lived most of her adult life in the United States. She came to America at the age of 18. She graduated in honors from MIT and Brandeis University. She was married. She started a family. She has 3 children, and she was engaged, as a perfect citizen here in praiseworthy charitable work while residing in the Boston area. And like thousands of other Muslims and post 9/11, she was targeted as being under suspicion just for, as we know, just for being a Muslim. She visited Karachi in Pakistan, her hometown, to visit a maternal uncle in nearby Islamabad. And Dr. Siddiqui, along with her 3 children, were forcibly removed from a taxi, target in the fashion of extraordinary rendition operation by the U.S. government and made to disappear for several years. Dr. Siddiqui sits now in a Texas jail convicted of attempted murder on U.S. personnel. And she has been sentenced, I think, to in excess of 80 years in this military base. So we wanted to bring this issue to the Muslim Street. Welcome to the Muslim Street, El Hajj Mauri Salakhan.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Walaikum assalam.
Dr. Siddiqui, can you tell us, has there been any communication with the foundation and Dr. Siddiqui as of late?
No, there's never been any communication between Dr. Siddiqui and us. She has extremely limited communication with her family. And when I say extremely limited, I mean extremely limited. The rules that govern other prisoners in the institution where she is housed don't apply to her. Her brother, since her conviction, was a year ago, a little over a year ago, he has had 2 visits with his sister, despite repeated attempts for more visits. And the second visit that he had was it was so impacting on him in such a negative way that the brother couldn't even call me later the day that he ended his visit. He had to call me the following day because he was so traumatized by what he saw. She's under extraordinary restrictive conditions, and this has been the case with Dr. Siddiqui since she's been in the United States, since she was brought here in 2008, half dead, having to be wheeled into a federal courthouse in New York City for her arraignment. She had to be wheeled in because she was half dead, literally. And when he saw her the last time, which is only the second time in 2.5 years, outside of a courtroom, he said that she looked like she did in 2008 when he first saw her after those 5 years of her disappearance.
And what's been the response from the United States government on this?
It's been totally moot. They here in this country, they don't address the issue of Afia Siddiqui, and quite frankly, one of the reasons why they're not addressing this issue is because the only people that are raising the issue with elements of the government are activists and her family. That's it. the news media, there's a total blackout since her trial ended last year. There has been a total blackout. During the trial, there was a very distorted, very unfair coverage of the trial and Dr. Siddiqui and her case, and very little said about the missing 5 years. She was, for the most part, portrayed as a caricature of what the government claimed she was.
Right. She's very commonly noted as prisoner 650 or Lady Al-Qaeda. I thought that was very interesting, how they kind of characterized her in this way, kind of made her a fictional character.
That's right. That's right. And what's really interesting, sister, is that, you know, while the basis of her rendition, of her disappearance for those 5 years, along with her children, was predicated on the belief, the assumption, the suspicion that she was a top-ranking agent for Al-Qaeda. The fact of the matter is that when they brought charges against her, there was not one terrorism charge brought against her in the indictment. Not one. And yet, the trial was conducted as if it were a terrorism trial.
Right.
I've been in many courthouses around the land, in different states, different cities, for different cases. This case is precedent-setting on many different levels.
It really is. I mean, there's really this entirely, to me, fictional development of her story. U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft used to, I remember, call her, he called her the most wanted woman in the world. He called her an Al-Qaeda facilitator. I do know that there are claims that her ex-husband cites her as also disappearing to go and work with Al-Qaeda. Do you know what his involvement was, her ex-husband's involvement was in her trial?
No, we suspect, however, that, you know, the hands or the influence coming from that side of her former family, you know, her ex-husband, who was the father of her children. I mean, you know, the thing that really disturbs me so much about Dr. Amjad Khan is the fact that this, irrespective of the acrimony that existed between him and his wife, for whatever the reason leading to the divorce, that is still the mother of his children. And in addition to that, she is a Muslim woman. And she is a Pakistani Muslim woman who he, as a man, as a Pakistani national, as a father, should have far more empathy and support for than what he has shown. What he has shown is an enmity that has raised the question for many people as to whether or not he and or other members of his family had anything to do on the Pakistani side of the character assassination that ultimately led to and attempted to justify what happened to her and her children.
From my
Hands are dirty.
From my understanding, she has very limited, I guess, opportunities to see her family, and there's been a lot of development in terms of what's going on with her, a lot of movement in the past 2 months, correct? She did see her family in November, and then she was allowed to see a lawyer of choice, and she chose to see this lawyer of choice. And since then, since that late November meeting, according to what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, she now is effectively not allowed any visitation from anyone except for U.S. or Pakistani government officials.
That's correct. That's correct. She had 2 visits with her brother. And that first visit, and that's the only family member that she has had visitation with. She's had 2 visits with him. Despite his repeated attempts over the course of the past year to visit his sister on many occasions, he kept being turned back. And we believe that the only reason why he got the 2 visits that he ultimately got, and she was finally able to call her family's home in Karachi and speak to her mother her sister and her two children, the two children that have been returned, the youngest one is still missing to this day, is because we held a demonstration at FMC Carswell in April of this year. And the locals in Fort Worth, Texas, said it was the largest demonstration they had ever seen at FMC Carswell. 5 days after that demonstration, she called home for the first time. It was only a 15-minute call, but it meant the world to her family because they had not heard anything from her, and there were rumors circulating that she had died at Carswell.
Let's talk about the demonstration coming up on the 31st in Fort Worth. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, on December 31st, New Year's Eve, at 11 o'clock in the morning, we are planning to go back to FMC Carswell with another demonstration. Inshallah ta'ala, this one will be even larger than the first one was. While everyone is invited, and we're welcoming everyone and encouraging everyone to come who's able to come, there is a special emphasis on Muslim men. Why? Because Allah has said in the Quran that it is the responsibility of men, of the Muslim men, to be the protectors and the maintainers of their family, of their communities. This is in fact, not just Muslim men. Allah has said in the Quran that it is the responsibility of men across the board, of every culture, of every creed. It's their primary responsibility to be protectors and maintainers. As Muslim men, we should take this, this divinely given mandate all the more seriously when it comes to coming to the aid, to the best of our ability, of a female captive of war like Dr. Afia Siddiqui. This is a very good Muslim sister. Very good, very committed.
Subhanallah.
There's exceptional work involved. And
inshallah you will
Inshallah
you will get the support of the community in this protest, and I've heard a lot of these protests. I assume the only reason I've heard of them is because I search for the information and find it. But can you give our listeners, I guess, a link that they can follow, or do you know of a website that would be helpful to them to get involved and reach out and make their voices heard about Dr. Siddiqui?
Yes, the official website for Dr. Afia Siddiqui is Free Afia. Her name is spelled AAFIA. freeafia.org. That's the official website.
Thank
There's
you.
a newsletter that's... Go ahead.
We'll post that on our website, but I think it's definitely worth looking into for our listeners.
And there's also a petition that just got started at signon.org. People can access it there, and also on our website at the Muslim Street Facebook page, as well as muslimstreet.net, to sign that petition. That petition will go directly to the state legislation in the state of Texas, the President of the United States, and the Congress, as well as the senator, so we can get the necessary visibility on this issue that we need. Can you hold on to the for the next segment,
Sure,
Mauri?
absolutely. I'm here. I'm here with you as long as you want me.
Again, you're listening to the Muslim Street. Thank you. We'll see you back after the commercials.